Hey everybody, it's Mitch, and welcome to my video. Today we have another Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 Prestige class description. And again, it is from the Expanded Psionics Handbook. And as always, today we have our friend, the Psion Uncarnate. Now, the Psion Uncarnate, it's a really interesting prestige class. I'm going to go over it. First, I'm going to talk about what this prestige class even is. Then I'm going to talk about how you go about getting into it. And then finally, we're going to talk about what you get for it. And I guess I shouldn't have said finally, because then we're going to talk about if it's any good and whether it's worth taking. So let's get into it. First off, what is a Psion Uncarnate? So basically, it's a psionic character, usually a Psion or Wilder, that has basically given up its physical form and gone incorporeal, which is really useful. So that's basically what they are. Yeah. Now, how do you get into a... which it's a super defensive, by the way. Like, that's being incorporeal, if you didn't know, very good defensively. Yeah, gives so many advantages. So how do you get into this class? Well, there's a few requirements. First off, knowledge psionics, 8 ranks, and knowledge psycraft, 8 ranks. Fairly basic stuff. If you're, a psion, you're probably going to want to have those maxed out anyway, so that's basically a big old nothing for you. Feat, psionic body. Okay, this one's a little bit of a trick, because that feat, not very good. You gain 2 hit points, and then every time you take, which is bad, that's like worse than toughness. But every time you take a psionic feat, which you'll probably take a few of them when doing a build like this, you'll gain another 2 hit points. So, not bad. Now, it also requires that you're able to cast 3rd level psionic powers, which, okay, so you're going to have to wait till like 5th, till you have 5 levels, so jumping in at 6th or 7th if you're a Wilder, although, I don't know, it's probably better for a Psion. A lot of the things you get for Wilder don't make too much sense for this. You could do it with like a Psychic Warrior, but... and special. Basically, special, you're going to have to have some sort of training of some kind. The actual text says must have some instruction by another psionic creature, Psion Uncarnate, have access to the teachings of the Golden Mind, or belong to an organization that has access to or is administered by the Golden Mind. It's a bit of a mouthful. The Golden Mind is basically, as far as I can tell from what's written here, basically like this origins of the Psion Uncarnate. And yeah, so the Golden Mind would be how to get in, but it's not the only way. So there's a number of ways to get in, but that is going to be a role play one, so you're going to have to talk with your DM about that, and your DM can very easily just not let you have this class with this. So yeah, let's jump into what they get. So a d4 hit dice, not great. 2+ int skills, not the best of skill lists. Okay, that's not good. Bad base attack, again, not good. Bad fort and reflex, good, but a goodwill. Okay, that's not great, but so far it's pretty typical for a full caster or manifester, so not so bad. And they gain powers, powers known on 2 out of 3 levels, and it's going to be on the 2nd and 3rd. So you won't get it, then you will, then you will, then you won't, then you will, then you will. So by 10th level, you will be missing 4. So you'll miss 4 levels, and you do want to take all 10 levels if you're going to go this route, because what you get at 10th level is by far the best thing you get for this class. So if you do take this, you're definitely going to want to stick with all 10 levels. So anyways, let's look into what else they get. So we're looking at weapon and armor efficiency, none. As I mentioned, powers known, they'll advance on certain levels. Now they get an incorporeal touch attack, which they can do a number of times per day. And this incorporeal touch attack It's going to deal, a few d6s of damage whenever they touch someone. Yeah, although it says a few times per day when they use their ability that they get at second level, which I'm going to talk about in a second, they can do it unlimited times. Eventually they get at second level, they'll get Shed Body, which basically lets them become incorporeal, for a little while every day. And while incorporeal, they can use a lot of their abilities an unlimited amount, like that touch attack. Yeah. Let's see. They can assume their equipment, which is pretty nice. Basically, they can, while incorporeal, they can make it so that a number of pieces of gear that they are using can go incorporeal with them, and the number of pieces is equal to their level in the class. So initially, when you get it at third level 3, and then up to 10 by 10th level, which is pretty nice. And they're also able to use, when they go incorporeal, they can still use their material weapons and gear just fine. Although they're not able to go through walls super easy if they're using material gear, because they can go through walls and things, but their gear can't. So that's a bit of an issue. They can always just drop it, or take it off, depending on what kind of gear it is. Like armor, you can't just drop. It takes time to take off, and then even more time to put back on. Donning is a very real thing, especially with heavy armor. But if it's just a sword or something, it's not a huge deal. But then again, you do have to give it up. So it is what it is, but by 10th level, you can pretty much bring all your gear with you. And you can change it as you see fit. It does take, I think, a standard action to change, but that's not so bad. You gain the ability to assume likeness, so you can basically, while incorporeal, transform in your image into another creature of similar size. And yeah, you gain a lot of advantage with that, so it can be used in kind of a stealth way, which is kind of cool. You gain telekinetic force at 7th level, that you can use a number of times per day while corporal, and unlimited and while incorporeal, which is really nice because that's a 3rd level power you can basically just get for free. It basically just lets you, act on the world. Is more or less how you're going to be using it. Is your telekinetic force is going to be your way of interacting with the physical world, because you can't really do that while incorporeal too well. Now you get Uncarnate Bridge at 8th level. Basically that'll let you just transfer between 2 people within eyesight of each other, and they don't even have to be willing. You can only do it once per day, but if there's 2 creatures that can see each other, you can go from standing next to one, transfer into that person or creature's mind. They have to, just have basic intelligence. They can't be mindless is basically the only requirement. And then you can pop out of the other creature that is able to see the other one, and you basically jump from one to the other through a mental link between the two, which is absolutely insane. Now it's very discomforting for the person that you pop out of their mind, but it doesn't harm them unless you want it to, in which case it does harm them quite a bit. It's a decent attack that you can do once a day, but it's also a good way of just transporting around the battlefield. And again, the creatures don't have to be willing. It's better if they're not, because if they're willing, you probably don't want to cause damage to them. You're probably going to choose not to hurt them. If they're unwilling, you're probably going to want to hurt them. That's not why you do it, but let's be real. If someone's willing, they're probably your ally, and you don't want to hurt them. If they're unwilling, they're probably your enemy, and you do want to hurt them. So, yeah. Then at 10th level, you get the real crux of this, the thing that really makes this prestige class good. And that is Uncarnate. You just literally become incorporeal all the time. It's not a, part of the day kind of thing like it was before. You're just always incorporeal. Now, you can, for a limited amount of time per day, choose to go back to being material for a bit. But you're just always incorporeal, and Only when you choose to use the ability can you go back to being material. So you're limited in how long you can be material once you finish off this prestige class, which being incorporeal is pretty nice. And being able to go material for a little bit, like when you need to for various story reasons or RP reasons or whatever happens to be coming up, it's good to have. Although more often than not, you can just use your telekinetic force to kind of fake it. Yeah. And you can use telekinetic force unlimited while incorporeal. Same with your touch attacks. Quite nice to be able to do both of those an unlimited amount of times per day. So yeah, very, very, very nice. All in all, this so that's what you get for this class. And the big question is it worth it? And the answer is, yeah, it's not bad. It's you lose 4 levels of manifesting to gain all this, which is a lot. Like, that's nothing to scoff at. But the ability to be incorporeal and to still, be able to manifest and bring your gear with you and, be able to use that telekinetic force power an unlimited amount of times while incorporeal. Very, very, very nice. That touch attack's kind of cool. It's not super strong, but it's an option if you want to get some extra damage in. And the fact that it's a touch attack's really nice. You can bypass a lot of defenses with that. So that's really good. And it does decent enough damage. So yeah, not really the best thing in the world, but it's a decent option, especially for something that you can do an unlimited number of times per day. So yeah, they get a lot of various things, and between all those things, yeah, it could absolutely be worth it, especially if you're going to go into epic levels, where you're going to start to see your manifestor level doesn't matter as much anymore, because once you get past 20th level, you see some diminishing returns. You see that for all casting classes, at least in terms of what you get for the basic stuff. Now, when you start taking epic casting and epic manifesting, okay, that can kind of slow things down a bit, because those things are pretty amazing. But at the same time, those are more based off of skills, and you get these skills anyways. So it's actually not going to throw your epic stuff off really much at all. As long as you hit 20th level, you're good. If you're combining this with a bunch of other prestige classes, you might have some issue, but as long as you get to 20th level and you keep that keep your knowledge psionics and psycraft maxed out, you'll be fine. And you'll be absolutely insanely powerful. So yeah, it's a pretty dang good prestige class all in all. I would highly recommend. I don't know if I'd highly recommend it, but I would definitely recommend it if you're looking to make a defensive psion. Like, if you want to make a psionic character that hits decently hard, but is also very, very hard to hit, definitely want to go this route, because the advantages for being not ethereal, the advantages for this are absolutely insane. Incorporeal creatures, 50% miss chance for most attacks. Some attacks just don't even work. So, regular attacks won't even work against these guys. Whereas if someone hits you with a magical weapon, it's a 50% miss chance. Now, if they have a ghost touch weapon, well, then the defenses you gain from this are completely useless. But it's not super common for people to have ghost touch weapons, and even then, that's fairly expensive enhancement, so it does make it so that they're not going to have other enhancements to be able to hit you with. So yeah, more often than not, you're going to be very, very difficult to hit unless your opponent happens to have a ghost touch weapon, which is kind of rare. So yeah, really good class, highly defensive. You lose a decent amount of kick, but this is your only prestige class that makes you lose manifestor levels. You can make up for at least the potency of your your powers with Practice Manifester. You're still not going to get them as early, but if you're going into epic levels, you'll get them eventually, and it's not a huge deal. It's just going to slow you down a little bit in the early levels. But that's really all I have to say. Let me know what you think about the Psion Uncarnate down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Maybe ring that bell, because YouTube is terrible about giving notifications. And as always, I'm Mitch. I'll be seeing you